The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join host Trevor Current and Joseph Cristina as they serve up the hottest photography news and commentary.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 210. I'm Joseph Cristina here with my co-host Trevor Current. How you doing, Trev?
Hey, we are back. Happy Easter, my friend.
Happy Easter. Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter to all you guys out there too, for those who celebrate. It was a nice holiday weekend with the family. We had decent weather on this weekend. It wasn't bad up here in the upper, northeast here, so it wasn't bad.
Yep, down here we were at, it was probably like 90 degrees. It was so hot down here and humid and rainy and just kind of gross. But that's the way it is. Usually on Easter we get rain. I don't know. That's the way it is.
Yeah, that time of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got some good stuff coming this week. Some good, interesting stuff from Apple, from Google. Some interesting cards that just came out. It's some pretty cool stuff this week.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
What's going on with Batman and Superman?
Yeah, opening weekend, my friend. I'm going tonight to see it, actually. We couldn't get out over the weekend, just too much family stuff going on, but we're going tonight. My wife and I, she's a big geek too, so I got my Batman hat on in celebration, so we're good to go.
Batman. That's good. Yes. Good stuff. Yeah, that'll be good. You gotta let me know, good, bad, or indifferent. So I'll go.
I've heard mixed.
If you tell me it's good.
What?
Yeah, I'm hearing mixed too. So we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, screw the critics,
sure. So yeah, exactly. You have to see, make a judgment for yourself. I mean, it is what it is. It's Batman.
That's right.
Superman.
It's Batman.
That's right. So anyways, Nik Software, if you guys have ever heard of Nik, they've been around for a long time. I've used their software in the past, and their software has always been like a couple $100, guys. Recently it's went down as low as like $149 for their full bundle. Well, Google bought Nik, right, and incorporated into their services. And now, as of a couple of days ago, they are offering Nik software to you for free. So you can go and download it. And I did just that. I'm like, well, I have it already, but I wanted to kind of do it for you guys to see what does it entail and what do you have to sign up for something? Is there some kind of gotcha or something? And I haven't found a gotcha. As a Mac guy, it was 618 meg to download. Right. But hey, that's not too bad. You're basically downloading the entire suite, the entire bundle. It's pretty big news, because there's a lot of other companies out there offering similar type of things. And they're probably looking at it like, what the hell are you doing, Google? You're killing me. What are you doing, Google? Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Google, of course, doesn't need the money from the software, right? I mean, they've got their ads. They've got a ton of other money-making ventures. And, of course, if you get into their software, then they have the ability to market to you through one channel or another. And, Google Photos is something that they've been pushing for a while, right. And really making a big push. And this is just another component to their photography side, to their photo side. So offering the software for free at this point, no skin off their teeth. It gets more photographers into the fold with some free software from them, gets them into the mix. And I know you've used it for a while. Yeah. I know, I remember, like years ago too, there were a lot of, big name photographers out there using and promoting Nik. Prior to the sale to Google. Yeah. So, but I know you used it, and I know you really like that Silver Effects Pro.
Yeah, I really like Silver Effects. Basically, guys, what it does is it allows you to take a color image, convert it to black and white, but just simply do it right. It just takes into consideration in the algorithm, for example, the blue channel, I'm sure you guys know, is usually your noisy channel, right? So it understands that. It does the reductions that it needs to. It knows reds are usually punching, and same thing with greens. You want to punch those up. And a lot of other little things in the background, but it's doing it more like film-esque. So you can So, Silver Effects is just awesome for doing those black and white conversions. I've used them before. I've written my own presets in Lightroom that I use now. But, for for a long, long time, I've used Silver Effects Pro. They also have color effects. They have analog effects. The analog does like this old school type of look. It's kind of like an Instagram type of look where you can look at old 70s film and then convert it to that and this type of stuff. And same thing with color. Color effects allows you to do, the whole idea of color correction and, and creative effects in internal to that. And they have others, right?
Yeah, HDR Effects Pro. I mean, that of course, just as the name implies, you can do all kinds of HDR effects.
Right.
The sharpener and define to really boost up the clarity of your images. It really is a great set of tools.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's kind of all encompassing. So, I mean, getting in this line of free software from Google could be a really great addition to your current workflow.
Yeah, Sharpener alone does a really good job at sharpening images. Now, we know, guys, you need to get it sharp in camera. You can't get it sharp, after the fact. It just simply doesn't work like that. You get it sharp in camera first. But if you kind of screwed it up a little bit, you can kind of, let's say fake it with Sharpener Pro. And it does a pretty good job. Define, like you were saying, is the exact opposite. It takes a noisy image and kind of removes that noise and makes it so that it looks good, even though you shot it at, let's say, 6400 ISO, 12,000 ISO. It kind of just mushes it all a little bit and pulls up that clarity a little bit. So really, like you said, it is good software. And like I said, it's 618 meg download for Mac. I'm not sure what it is for you Windows guys, but it's definitely worth the download.
Yeah, take the time for sure.
Yeah, moving on. Class 10 card, right? A Class 10 SD, a micro SD at 200 gigabytes, Trev. 200 gigabytes by Lexar. Yeah. Is that crazy?
I know, that's kind of crazy. I mean, that's a massive card, and micro SD no less. So the type of card that you could pop into your smartphone or whatever if it has the expandable slot. Right. But what's interesting too is you can always drop it into an micro SD to SD adapter.
Right.
And utilize it in your cameras and your other recording devices. So does really expand out the capabilities for storage.
Yeah.
And it's fast.
It's fast, yeah. 95 meg is what it's running at, which is really quick. They're saying 633 times the speed, quote unquote, and 17 hours of video and whatnot. So what I like too is they provide with the card a USB 3 reader. So it's like a little dongle looking thing, and you just stick your micro SD into the back of it, and you plug it into any USB 3 adapter. I mean, any USB 3 slot on your computer, and that's just phenomenal. That's just great. I like it. I really like it. Lexar has always done a really good job. I use SanDisk. I've used SanDisk Extremes and all the pro grade SanDisk stuff. But Lexar is definitely, I would say, number 2. If I'm not buying a SanDisk, I'm going to buy Lexar for sure.
Yeah, Lexar makes some good quality stuff for sure. Yeah. They've been around for a long time. USB 3.0 in a reader, I think, is real important. As these capacities increase and your videos get larger and longer and go from 1080 to 4K, you've got a lot of data to transfer, and you want to get it there as quick as you can. And using an old 2.0 reader, if your computer has 3.0 capability, is kind of killing the workflow. So definitely utilizing a 3.0 reader that comes with this thing is phenomenal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Canon. I know we talk about point and shoots every once in a while. It's not necessarily a camera that professionals use. I use a point and shoot, but it's more for internal stuff. It's not really to go and shoot anything. Maybe it's
for fun too.
For fun, or for capturing, let's say, a location. Because let's say we're going to be doing a location, shoot. We'll go over there and do kind of some spot shots here and there.
Scouting.
Yeah, just to see what the backgrounds look like. And, the G line of Canon was always a good one, like a G12, now G16, I think they're up to. But because it has full manual controls, you have all the rest of the stuff. But The camera that we're going to be talking about today here real quickly is this Canon PowerShot G7 X2. It's a Mark II. Now, this camera, the Mark I, is the camera that all vloggers on YouTube are basically using at this point.
Right.
It is an exceptional camera, the Mark I. And what it allows you to do, it has a pop-up 180 screen, so you can see yourself for doing, let's say, selfies and for being able to vlog. But it also gives you a full 1-inch sensor, so it does fantastic in low light. It does amazing job at tracking. So it's just tracking you and tracking your face, which is a necessity also for vlogging. But this new version has got a lot of great stuff in it also, which kind of just, I would say it's an iteration, not an innovation, but the iteration I think is worth the money for sure.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, the core features of the Mark I were already really good. And this was just kind of like a nice improvement to it. You know, they kind of stuck with the same 20.1 megapixel sensor, you know, and just enhanced a few things here and there. But I guess kind of the big thing that was exciting and something requested by a lot of people was the control ring. On the previous version, it had like a clicking, and a lot of people didn't like that clicking. That control ring can be set to work your ISO or different features of the camera, kind of from, you know, from the bezel around where the lens is. And a lot of people didn't like it because it clicked, and now it gives the ability to be smooth and quiet then. So if you're shooting video and you want to change a setting, it's not getting click, click, click in your video.
Yeah, and that's it. That goes back to video. Most people are using that PowerShot G7 X for video, obviously. So yeah, and now we got the the Digix 7 from the 6. That's an upgrade. That means that it can process better, quicker. They're up to, I think it's 8 frames per second, guys. That's quick. That's really quick for a point and shoot. They've expanded the ISO. They're up to about 25,000 or something now, which is also better. So, you know, if you're shooting at 6,400, it's going to look great. It looks fantastic. I mean, that's one of the reasons also that the vloggers were using this camera is because it does so well in low light. And most of the times these people are vlogging in their basement or in a back room or
out on the streets, even at nighttime,
anywhere, maybe at night.
Light.
Exactly. And now they improved also image stabilization. So, that whole holding the camera out in front of you and vlogging and talking to yourself, because that whole 180 degree screen pops up and you can see yourself and you're kind of talking. And now it does a better job at that image stabilization too. So, all in all, like I said, it's an iteration. It's not an innovation, but it's definitely worth the difference in price. The old version, the Mark I, guys, is $599, I believe. The new one is $699, and it comes out in May, like May 26th, they're saying. So it's right around the corner. You figure about a month and a half, or whatever it is. So I think that if you're in the market, or if you're trying to get into vlogging or some type of YouTubing, I think that it's definitely, I would say, the best option out there. So give it a look-see for sure. Once again, PowerShot G7 X Mark II. So,
cool.
Anyways, we need to get going for a quick break. What do you think?
Yes. We'll be right back with more news from Apple.
As photographers, we all strive for the sharpest images possible. We follow all the rules, using low ISO, the fastest possible shutter speeds, and a tripod whenever possible, only to find soft images still being produced. While all these methods are valid, what you haven't been told is that from manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. These variances are what the focus pyramid quickly, easily, and cost-effectively addresses. This product was developed as a direct response to the many DIY products that were too complex to use and the commercially available products that were simply too expensive. The focus pyramid works with all major camera manufacturers, including Canon, Nikon, Sony, Olympus, and Pentax, to name a few. It will also work with all future DSLR cameras that allow for custom focus adjustments. The focus pyramid is a true form follows function undertaking. It allows the photographer to quickly calibrate their lenses either in studio or on location in a matter of minutes to help them achieve the absolute sharpest images possible. Simply place the focus pyramid on a flat surface. Align the camera, take a shot, and review your focus point. Adjust your camera settings to compensate for any variances. Repeat this process for each and every one of your lenses. That's it. Images go from soft to tack sharp in a matter of minutes. So grab a focus pyramid to take complete control of your DSLR's focusing system and start making better photographs today.
All right, we're back, and let's get into the Apple event. So this past Monday, there was the big announcement. You never know what you're going to get from Apple. It could be something bigger. It could be something whatever. So this time, it was a kind of a combination of
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
and
I would
stuff
agree.
that's actually a little interesting. You know, starting off, this is their 40th year anniversary. Tim Cook made a big point of talking about that, which is really great. You know, in business a long time. Their other goal, something that they've really been striving for too, is to make all of the Apple stores and corporate headquarters and stuff around the world 100% using renewable energy. So either solar or what have you, you know?
Right. I tell you what, watching this live and when we were actually doing coverage on it, I could see people in the audience by minute 10 of the renewable, reusable, and how eco-friendly we are. Their eyes were starting to gloss. They're like, okay, so when are we getting into like the good stuff? So, I mean, they put a lot of effort or a lot of time in percentage wise for this, you know, for this update, as we call it, into this renewable, reusable, and how all their stores are, and you know, in 20 countries, and this whole thing. It was kind of, I wouldn't say odd, but it almost really felt out of place for, you know,
It felt very political.
Yeah, it's just something.
You know, we are in an election year, right?
Yeah,
and there's a lot of people who, you know, are very politically active. And Apple is a huge company, and in light of recent events with the FBI and other government stuff going on, you know, Apple, I think, is really trying to, you know, get their you know, get out there in the public as, you know, we care, you know, we're not, you know,
absolutely.
we care
Just
about
recently, the whole FBI thing just kind of blew up. You know, that was it's pretty much done at this point.
Right.
And, you know, kudos to Apple for holding their ground. I mean, no matter how you sit on the, you know, on the fence, either left or either right, you know, there has to be a time when you say, I feel secure in this device, secure enough to use it for paying my bills, using it, you know, it's secure enough to have my credit card information on there, my banking information on there, all this kind of stuff. Do I feel secure? And once that security is gone, they can't get it back, Trev.
Yeah.
So I think that it was a good move. I really do.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
you know, and then kind of moving into their other discussions. I mean, they kind of went into a lot of other accomplishments that they've made in their software developments, like Research Kit and Care Kit. I mean, that's huge, and that really is big for a subset of the technology industry.
Medical.
Medical specifically. You know, they talked about the Apple Watch, and honestly, really not much to say.
It was like a band, but they introduced a new band, and
and a lower price. I mean, that's great. So
that was
awesome.
another one where people
Apple
were
Watch.
like, "What was that?" I thought they were going to do something with this watch, and they're like, "Yeah, we got a new nylon band." Okay, you know, and it was like crickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Exactly.
And we lowered the price. You know, it's like $299 to get into an Apple, you know, an Apple Watch now.
Right. Yeah. Then Apple TV, just kind of
more of the same.
A highlight, more of the same. Yep. I think what was really interesting with this event was the new iPhone SE and the new smaller iPad Pro.
Right.
Which I mean, both of those things are kind of interesting. You know, I mean, it's funny, Joe, you and I had a conversation about this kind of after the fact. And, you know, like if Steve Jobs were still alive, I mean, you would have to question his thoughts about what's going on here. Mm-hmm. You know, the iPhone was always a more, you know, compact, reasonably sized device. Right. And then the iPhone 6 comes out, and then the 6 Plus. I mean, my opinion, the 6 Plus is too huge.
Right.
For a man to carry that, unless you have a man bag that you're sporting over your shoulder all the
Right.
time, or you got a big, massive hip pouch.
Yeah, a man pouch.
How are you really practically going to use that? You know,
Yeah.
you keep it in your bag, then you've got to have it on ring so you can hear a call coming in.
Right.
You know, and then everybody knows you're getting a call. I mean, for me, it's just not practical. The iPhone 6, I like. It's a little bit bigger. It's good for my horrible vision. I do like that. But I think the masses are not digging these bigger phones.
Yeah,
So,
and not just phone, Trevor, also on the iPad Pro. And this was like the underlying, and that's what we were discussing after doing this live. You know, we were discussing that both the new iPhone and the iPad Pro, they have basically went backwards and said, you know what, the majority of the people, they don't want big, 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 big. I almost feel like with the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6S especially, they were trying to do the exact opposite of what the main man would have done, which is follow his own beaten drum, do his own thing. They were trying to follow Samsung, bigger, 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 bigger.
Yep.
And now they find out that people don't need a 6.5, a huge, phone that's 5-6 inches. They want, the 4-inch phone, but they want it to be awesome. So what are they doing? The iPhone SE is now reduced to a 4-inch size, which is the same as a 4 and the iPhone 5S. It's the exact same size, but you're getting all of your whistles and bells in there, and they're doing the same thing with the iPad. They're that huge iPad Pro that's massive. Now all of a sudden they're going to have a 9.7 inch back to what it originally was. So I think people, they're getting this blowback from the community that's saying that this stuff is just, number one, too damn expensive, and number two, we don't want it that big. I need to stick it into my pocket. I don't need to stick it into a man bag. I need to stick it in my pocket. I don't need to stick it in a pouch. So now the SE is just phenomenal. So it's called the iPhone SE. I'm sure most of you have heard of it now, but it's got, the A9 chipset. It's got all of the whistles and bells that a 6S does on just a smaller form factor. That's for me. And not only that, price, right, man? Price.
Yeah. I mean, the price is dropped. I mean, at 16 gigs, now you can buy it for $399.
Right.
You
don't have to rent a car, You
don't have to rent a car. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the other bigger phones are still so much more expensive. They do have this financing option that you can get now through Apple and the other carriers.
Right.
That makes it a little bit more palatable to get into the phone initially. But you're still paying for it. You're paying for it one way or another. Whether you're paying
there's
for
no
it
more
upfront.
subsidy. There's no subsidy anymore by the carrier. So they're looking at $17 per month. Well, I mean, with the iPhone 6S, you're looking at about $34 to $38 a month.
Yeah, double.
Double. Yeah. So I think this is going to be really huge for the people that want to go, from a Samsung or from another device into an iPhone, and they've never had an iPhone before because they feel it was just too expensive. We're going to now bring them in. And what I like about this, instead of going down like the 5C form factor line where it was plasticky and it just didn't feel like an iPhone. It felt cheap, right?
Yeah.
Now they're giving you something that's, still metal. It's a really good phone. It's just smaller so that they're doing it cheaper. So they're bringing you in, like I said, at the same kind of equivalent to an iPhone 6S, all the internals, 4K, fantastic video, Touch ID, and, everything is just the same. Really, really good stuff, but they're doing it cheap.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's huge. And then that rolls right into the iPad Pro. I mean, as we said, the big iPad Pro is big. And that's great if you want to use it in studio or something like that, or if you are on location at a shoot and you
use it as a Wacom, replacement into a replacement or something,
Exactly. For those types of professional uses, I think it's awesome at that bigger size. But if you're looking for a device that you're going to multi-purpose, that you want to be able to use for professional and for hanging out, taking an airplane ride, I think you really want something a little bit smaller, and I think that's really what the masses kind of said, and Apple kind of listened and said, all right, you know what, let's take the power and the capabilities of the big Pro, and let's just put it back into a smaller form factor.
And that's what they did. And they brought the price now down with the 32 gig down to $600, $599. And you're, like you said, you're getting all of that power. You're getting, the A9X chipset, and all of the niceties, 4K video, 5 megapixel front camera. You got 12 megapixels on that. So you're basically getting, everything that you had before, but now once again in a smaller, palatable, let's call it, form factor, instead of this huge, massive thing. So yeah, that seems to have been the underlying, besides that they went into a lot of this renewable, reusable stuff. And then they got into just talking about, a nylon wristband, which was kind of not a story, but this, the iPad Pro and the iPhone SE, I think were really, really big stories because it shows how things are changing, in, let's say, Apple formal, whereas it felt like it really went away from, Jobs when he passed away. And it feels like they're kind of coming back. And they're not coming back, I don't think, due to management. I think they're coming back due to us complaining, due to blowback.
Consumer demand.
Exactly. Saying, listen, wait, just stop this craziness. I want this, and they're literally doing it. So that's really good. That is good. They don't have to. I mean, they are Apple. They can do whatever they want.
They can do whatever they want. I think one of the interesting additions to this new iPad Pro is their True Tone display.
Yeah.
This actually is pretty cool. I mean, for a photographer to be able to present their images, let's say as a portfolio, or even, you just did a shoot and you want to show your clients. You've got rooms with all different types of light temperature.
Right.
You may, if you go over to your client's house, you may be sitting in their living room with a couple floor lamps with incandescent lights.
Right.
If they come to your studio, you may have daylight balanced lighting in there, so everything's nice and neutral. You're in all kinds of different environments, but the screen on these iPads have always been the same, no matter what lighting condition you're under. So it's constantly projecting out more of that bluish light.
Right.
So what they've done is they've actually incorporated a light sensor into the iPad, both brightness and darkness, as well as color temperature.
Yeah.
So the screen will actually adjust color temperature based on your room lighting environment.
Exactly. So if you're in extremely yellow light, guys, and your Kelvin is sitting at, 3,200 or even lower, it's going to immediately boost you back up to 52. Or maybe if it's so yellow, it might compensate and go even higher to 6K or whatever it is, so that when you're viewing it under those lighting conditions, not only the brightness is correct, but your Kelvin is also right. So your images are going to look the absolute best that they can under every lighting condition. So that's just cool stuff. Now, does it work 100%? I don't know. I have not tested it.
Yeah, we got to see
it. Theory is great. I mean, you're not going to beat that. That's great.
Yeah, and the other feature it has now, and I believe the iPhone too. Everybody says that the worst thing that you can do before going to bed at night is look at your phone.
Right.
And they say that the blue light emitted from the screen of the display actually triggers things in your brain to wake you up as opposed to put you to sleep. So what it does is it actually uses its kind of like internal clock and knows that it's bedtime, and it actually has a setting to say like when you go to bed. And it will actually change the color temperature of the screen to reduce that blue light being emitted out of it, as well as the brightness and darkness based on your bedroom and stuff like that, to actually make it so it's easier to go to sleep. So
that is cool.
I mean, there's nothing worse, I tell you, bro. Nothing worse. We're all in our own businesses, right? Yeah. We're always on the clock, regardless whether we want to be or not. And what is like one of the last things we do at night, right? Check email.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than checking email and getting an irate client email coming through with a freaking blue screen as you're laying in bed trying to go to sleep. And now that just completely wakes you up. And now
you look like an alien to your wife because your whole head is glowing blue because it's so bright.
And now you're wound because of these emails. You may as well just get back up again and go work.
Yeah. So all right, Trev, we need to get out.
Yes, good stuff. So if our listeners and viewers want to connect with you outside of the show, what's the best way for them to reach you?
That's right, guys. Follow me on Twitter. That's probably the easiest way. Go to @JosephChristina, and that's Christina without an H.
Awesome. And you can connect with me on Twitter. It's @Trevor Curran.
All right, everyone, we are out of here for yet another week. You can get all the show notes from this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com. And don't forget to visit YouTube and find our YouTube channel and subscribe over at youtube.com/dphotocafe. And we'll see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe show with Trevor Curran and Joseph Cristina. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with any compatible device by visiting youtube.com/dphotocafe. Be sure to subscribe to our audio feed through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps or through RSS. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your hosts.